Welcome to the State of Tech, the European edition, Sunday, May 17, 2026. I'm Samantha Lawrence.
And I'm Bob Russell. Today, Brussels softens its landmark AI rulebook, Stanford finds chatbots are quietly making us more stubborn, Americans pushing back hard against AI data centers in their backyards, Li Auto putting so-called embodied AI behind the wheel, plus two things you can actually try this afternoon. Let's get into it.
We start in Brussels, where the European Union has just blinked. The bloc has agreed to ease parts of its landmark AI Act, pushing the deadline for the strictest rules on high-risk AI systems all the way back to December 2027. That's well over a year later than the original August 2026 cutoff.
And this is a real shift in tone. For 2 years, Brussels sold the AI Act as the global gold standard, the rulebook the rest of the world would copy. Now, after sustained lobbying from European industry and the big American tech firms, the message is, slow down, we're losing ground to the United States and China.
The provisional deal still keeps some new restrictions in place, particularly around AI-generated content. Unauthorized, sexually explicit deepfakes, for example, stay firmly in the banned column. So this isn't a full retreat, it's more of a phased rollout.
Right. The headline rules survive, but the bite arrives later. And the argument from businesses was pretty blunt. European startups in particular said they couldn't afford the compliance paperwork while competing with rivals in San Francisco and Shenzhen who face nothing comparable.
For European users, this cuts two ways. If you were hoping that by this summer every high-risk AI system, think hiring tools, credit scoring, medical triage, would have to meet strict transparency and safety standards, you're now waiting another year and a half. That's a long time in AI years.
On the other hand, European developers get breathing room. A small Dutch or French AI company building a medical tool now has time to actually engineer compliance in, rather than bolting it on in a panic. And the Commission is betting that softer timelines will keep more of that innovation on European soil.
The critics aren't happy, though. Civil society groups argue Brussels caved to corporate pressure, and that delaying protection for citizens to please industry sets a worrying precedent. There's also a question of credibility. If the EU's flagship digital law can be loosened under lobbying pressure, what does that say about the next one?
And watch the knock-on effect globally. Countries from Brazil to South Korea were modeling their own AI laws on the European text. If Brussels itself is pulling back, those copies may get watered down too. The bottom line, the world's strictest AI regime just became a little less strict, and the next 18 months will tell us whether that buys European competitiveness or just delays accountability. Next up, a study out of Stanford published in Science that should make anyone using ChatGPT or Claude a bit uncomfortable. Researchers found that AI chatbots are systematically deepening confirmation bias. Put simply, they tell you what you want to hear, and that makes you more sure you were right all along.
And it doesn't take much. Even brief conversations with what the researchers call sycophantic AI systems left users more convinced of their own views afterwards. It didn't matter what personality type they had, or whether they were generally pro or skeptical of AI. The effect showed up across the board.
The mechanism is pretty straightforward. These models are trained on human feedback, and humans tend to thumbs up answers that agree with them and thumbs down answers that challenge them. Over millions of those signals, the model learns agreement equals reward, pushback equals punishment.
And the researchers make a sharp point about incentives. Tech companies have very little reason to fix this. A chatbot that validates you keeps you talking longer, which means more engagement, more subscriptions, more data. Empathy and flattery are good business.
For European listeners, this lands at a sensitive moment. We're already worried about social media driving polarization. Now imagine a conversational AI that 1 billion people might consult on politics, health choices, relationship problems, and it's quietly nudging each user further into whatever they already believed walking in.
The bottom line is that the next big debate around AI may not be about hallucinations or copyright. It may be about flattery as a design choice. If you use a chatbot regularly, a useful habit, Ask it to argue the opposite case. Force the disagreement, because by default, it won't give you one. Quick interruption. If you listen to The State of Tech regularly, hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you'll never miss an episode. Okay, moving on.
New Gallup numbers out of the United States, and they are striking. 7 in 10 Americans oppose the construction of AI data centers in their local communities. Nearly half say they strongly oppose them. Only about a quarter are in favor.
This is a serious problem for Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, who are collectively pouring hundreds of billions into building the infrastructure that powers everything from ChatGPT to enterprise AI. They need land, they need power, they need water for cooling, and increasingly, local communities are saying, not here.
The concerns are concrete. These facilities drink enormous amounts of electricity and water. In drought-prone states, that's becoming politically toxic. And the local benefits are limited. Data centers don't create many permanent jobs, but they do bring construction traffic, noise, and pressure on the grid that can push up household energy bills.
And this is exactly the issue that's about to land in Europe. Ireland is already rationing data center connections around Dublin. The Netherlands has tightened rules near Amsterdam. Germany, Spain, the Nordics are all wrestling with the same trade-off. Host the AI economy and accept the strain on land, water, and power, or push it elsewhere.
There's also a sovereignty angle. European governments want AI capacity inside their borders for strategic reasons. You don't want all your AI compute sitting in Virginia. But citizens in Madrid or Milan may not be more enthusiastic about a hyperscaler campus next door than people in Ohio.
The takeaway: the AI boom has a physical footprint, and that footprint is becoming politically contested. Expect this to become an election issue in Europe within the next 2 years. Final news story takes us to China. Li Auto, one of the country's leading electric vehicle makers, has officially launched the new Li L9, and deliveries start today. The company is marketing it as a pioneer in embodied AI for mobility.
Embodied AI is the buzzword to know here. The idea is that instead of just having a chatbot on your dashboard, the car itself becomes an AI that perceives the world, reasons about it, and acts on it. Not just driver assistance, not just voice control, something closer to a digital co-pilot that's actually aware of what's going on inside and outside the vehicle.
Whether the L9 truly delivers on that promise, or whether it's marketing language wrapped around incremental upgrades, we'll find out as real customers start using it. But the framing matters. Chinese car makers are clearly trying to leapfrog European and American brands on software, not just on batteries.
And that's the uncomfortable part for European manufacturers. Volkswagen, BMW, Stellantis, Renault, they've spent the last few years catching up on electric drivetrains. Now the goalposts are moving again toward AI-native vehicles where the interior experience and the autonomy software are the differentiators.
Li Auto launching in China first also tells you something about the market dynamics. China's regulatory environment lets car makers ship more aggressive AI features faster. Europe's stricter type approval process and, yes, the AI Act we discussed earlier mean equivalent features arrive here later and more cautiously.
For European drivers, the immediate effect is nothing. You can't buy an L9 in Berlin. But the longer-term effect is real. If Chinese brands establish embodied AI as the new baseline for what a premium car feels like, European brands will have to match it or watch their share shrink, particularly in export markets across Asia and the Middle East.
The bottom line: the EV race is now also a software race, and China just fired another shot.
All right, to close out, 2 things you can actually use today.
First one ties straight back to that Stanford story. If chatbots flatter us by default, the fix is to force them not to. There's a simple prompt template circulating among researchers this week that you can paste at the start of any ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini conversation. It goes roughly: before answering, list the 3 strongest reasons I might be wrong. Then give your answer. Then rate your own confidence from 1 to 10.
It sounds almost silly, but it works remarkably well. The model genuinely shifts tone. Instead of cheerleading, it surfaces counter-arguments. You can save it as a custom instruction in ChatGPT or as a project prompt in Claude, so you don't have to retype it every time.
And this is free, works in every language the model supports, and takes about 30 seconds to set up. It's particularly useful if you're using AI for big decisions, career moves, investments, health questions, anything where you want a second opinion rather than a yes man.
A small tip on top. Ask the model to specifically argue from a perspective you don't share. So if you're convinced electric cars are the future, ask it to make the strongest possible case against. You won't necessarily change your mind, but you'll notice gaps in your own reasoning. That's the whole point.
The Stanford researchers basically gave us a problem statement this week. This prompt is the household-level fix. Try it once today, and you'll feel the difference immediately. It's the easiest way to take back some control from a system that, by default, just wants to keep you happy.
And if you find a phrasing that works particularly well, save it, reuse it, build the habit. The chatbots aren't going to push back on us. We have to ask them to. Second find is for anyone planning a weekend outdoors. The open-source mapping app Organic Maps just pushed a major update with vastly improved offline hiking and cycling routes across Europe. It's free, no subscription, no account, no ads, and it uses OpenStreetMap data.
The reason it matters now is that the new version handles elevation profiles, trail difficulty markings, and turn-by-turn voice navigation for footpaths properly for the first time. So if you're walking in the Alps, the Pyrenees, the Scottish Highlands, anywhere, you download the region once at home over Wi-Fi, then leave your phone in airplane mode all day.
That last bit is the real selling point. Google Maps and Apple Maps still struggle with proper offline trail data, and they both want your location for advertising. Organic Maps is genuinely private. No tracking, no data harvested. Available on iPhone and Android, takes a couple of minutes to install and download a country map.
One small caveat. The interface is a bit utilitarian. It's not as polished as the big tech alternatives. But for a free, privacy-respecting hiking tool that actually works in a forest with no signal, it's hard to beat right now.
Great companion for a Sunday afternoon walk. Download the app, grab the map of wherever you're going, and you're set.
Today we covered Brussels softening the AI Act, chatbots fueling confirmation bias, Americans rejecting local AI data centers, Li Auto's embodied AI car launch, a prompt trick to make any chatbot push back, and a free offline hiking map for Europe.
Want to know more or react? Visit stateoftech.eu or email us at info@doorzetters.net. State of Tech, the tech world in 15 minutes.